I'm with Shelly Lazarus, chairman of Ogilvy and Mather Worldwide, and we're talking about talent and women in general in the advertising industry. I mean, Shelly, you walked the halls of Ogilvy and Mather, as a woman, probably just after, or like you said, a few years after the Mad Men era. Now, what was it like to be a woman in the advertising industry dominated by men?
Well, first of all, it was a little lonely because there were not a lot of women who were in the executive ranks, and of the women who were professional, the truth was they had all started as secretaries. So when you go back and watch Mad Men, which was about 15 years before the time I joined Ogilvy, and you saw all the secretaries who were, first of all, super competent and capable. I mean, I think part of the storyline is they were the ones who made the men successful. But when you saw the stories of the women who were secretaries who then moved up into positions, of copywriters and things like that, that definitely rang true. Now, the other parts are there was a lot of smoking. There was no drinking in the office by the time I got there, although there was drinking everywhere else. There were a lot of romances between the executive men and the women who were secretaries, and I think the clothes were. I think they got the clothes pretty right too.
Okay, what is different now?
Well, first of all, there are a lot more women. In most of our offices, I'd say 50% of our professional staff is now female. And so that makes the whole feel of the place different. And it's also more diverse in general. I mean, again, when I joined Ogilvy, it was all white men. And they all kind of looked the same. They had all gone to the same schools. It was extremely homogenous, and the clients looked the same. So it was a good pairing and matching. And now it's just so much more diverse, gender-wise, background-wise, and on both the client and the agency side. The other thing that's wildly different is life was very simple when I joined Ogilvy in 1970. Most of what we were advertising was to women. Mostly it was women 18 to 34. You had sort of this single target that would take care of most things. There weren't that many media choices. Most media plans called for some print advertising and television, and so the big decisions you had to make were whether you were going to be on daytime or prime time, and which of the women's magazines you were going to be in. And then, so sort of all you really needed for a respectable advertising program for the year was 2 television commercials and 3 print ads, and you were set. That was it. And then you contrast that to today, where if you can think of a way to communicate, you can create it. Anything is possible, everything's possible, and each new brand opportunity is another chance to kind of put together this cocktail of 300 possible ways of communicating with the target.
And what do you think women leaders bring to the advertising industry?
Oh, well, they bring a completely different perspective. I always think back to these meetings where I was the only woman, and we would be trying to advertise shampoo for women, diapers, sanitary napkins, and you would have this group of homogenous men that I just described, and they would be talking passionately, intensely about how women feel, how, what they thought, their relationships with their babies, and I was the only woman present in the whole room. So it's so obvious that you might want to have a few women present if you were selling to women. But I would go beyond that, to a more general statement, which is we are in a constant war for talent, all of us. And anyone who would deprive himself of 50% of the talent pool is insane. sort of there's so much talent among women, as we all know, that we just have to do everything we can to bring them into our industry and make sure they stay there.
And retention, that is, it's probably one of the tougher aspects of retaining women in the advertising industry. Could you share maybe 2 tools that Ogilvy has used to retain women?
Well, I don't think there are tools to retain women. I think there's a philosophy, and I believe in it strongly. And I truly believe that the days when we ask individuals to conform to the organization are over. Individuals are not going to do it. So you have to figure out how to have an organization that is flexible enough in its approach and outlook and practices that it's possible to accommodate the needs of any individual, men and women. But I think that's all women really want and need, is they're trying to figure out how to balance everything they're doing in their lives. And I think we have to make sure that women feel that it's possible to tailor a way of working that can accommodate their needs. And we either have to take people on their own terms, or we don't have them. It's not, you can't say, excuse me, you cannot work 3 days a week, we will only have you working 5, because then the choice will be to not have the person at all.
Has it been tough drawing women into the advertising industry?
No, it's not. No, your point is exactly right. It's not tough at all to draw them in. The challenging thing is to retain them. And the higher they go in the organization, and sort of this also comes with, they probably have more obligations, they may have kids by this point, the harder it is to retain them, or the more women we lose. And I think that really is what we have to focus on if we want women in the top leadership positions in agencies.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure. Shelly Lazarus, Chairman, Ogilvy and Mather Worldwide.